Today I'm going to be working on this, and I wanted to show you guys what I'm working on exactly. So this is the bell housing out of my truck. It is a Quicktime, as you can see, steel bell housing 8031. I bought it 2 years ago, and this time I had the engine out. I noticed, maybe from all those hard launches, maybe from the fact that this weld stops right there, we've got a crack. So not a huge deal. I can just extend that weld and re-weld this little starter cutout for it, right where it cracked. I don't know if I'll actually weld this crack, just weld this thing together. And truth be told, this is the backing plate. I didn't have all the bolts that hold it around, so I had all 6 bolts that hold it to the engine, but there's all these little 3/8 bolts that they put in here that bolt this plate. And I mean, I figured that I was having the engine in and out so many times that I didn't want to take the extra time to do it. Of course, you know, it is pretty thin, so I don't know how much structure it really adds having those bolts there. I can't say if it would have cracked, you know, had they all been in there or not, but it might have certainly strengthened this area around here to help distribute that load across this big gaping starter hole. But what's done is done. At the end of the day, in my opinion, this could have used a little more weld to begin with, because you've only got these couple tacks here. So it'll be stronger now. Just gonna have to weld it really slow. Be careful not to do too much at once, but just basically cover this whole side here with a weld, and maybe over here a little bit, and then repaint it. So that's the project for today. I'm gonna just bolt it to this 302, and like I said, just do a tiny little bit at a time. Alright, we're all bolted up, about to make the first weld here, so you can see that crack I was talking about, and my plan is just to weld this corner right here and maybe down in this, but I can only do about 1/4 inch at a time, so this thing doesn't warp. So it will take a while, but using the old big synchro wave here, DC, high frequency set to start. It's good. We're gonna do about 175 amps with the water cooling. So let's fire her up. Just laid the first bead on that. It's cooling off right now. I'll show you that in a second. But first, I want to show you guys something we haven't done in a while, and much at all, and that is a little unboxing here. So I've got some plans, and there's no better way to show you guys than to see it myself for the first time with you. So hopefully it's the right stuff. I mean, sometimes it's not. It's the way it goes. So this is a sealed power weight match set. Let's see what's in here. So that is a cast piston, and it's got some valve reliefs in it, as you can see, standard size. And it's got clips for the wrist pin, so it's not a press style, it's floating. You kind of see the bottom there. That is exactly what it's supposed to be. I'm not sure if there are locks in here though. So I see the locks. So these are the wrist pin locks here. 16 of them, so 2 per piston. Really simple to install these if you have a floating rod, and I guess that's probably something that I should mention. I definitely already got into the goodies on this one. I couldn't resist, but this is the first time that you guys are gonna see them. So there you go. That is a Eagle H-beam with the bushed pin. So they're actually lighter than the pistons, I think. We'll measure them, but yeah, there you go, guys. Cast piston with the forged rod. Might be a little bit of an interesting combo for some. I mean, if you're one of those people, I guess I have something for you as well. This is a set of forge pistons. So let's take a look at those, kind of compare them. I think the weight's about the same, but we'll measure them. You can see shape's pretty much identical. You know, I don't know if I like the forged piston as much. It moves that wrist pin really far down, and as a result these ringlands are really short. So I'm sure it's fine. For me personally though, I'm not sure that I like that. It does have valve reliefs on the top as well, so you can see that there. I mean, we compare it to this cast guy. I mean, they're almost exactly the same, so I guess I'm interested now to see the weight on these two guys, but there you have it. Cast in the left, forged on the right. I'm gonna guess that this forged is lighter. It just feels lighter. So next up is to show you guys that weld I was talking about, and not sure when we're gonna get to this stuff, but you know, got other projects too. So as far as the bell housing is concerned, it's coming along. Smells terrible when you weld with this paint on it. I got a little bit too hot right here and burnt it, but it seems like it might be a little too cold here, so you kind of got to balance it. But you know, I did end up fusing that crack. I said I wasn't going to. I'll probably paint it and everything anyways, so now's the time to do it. But I'm just gonna close this gap, guys. I'm gonna bring this weld all the way down to there, and also all the way into this corner. And I haven't decided yet because I haven't cleaned the paint off, but I thought about adding a tack over here just to help hold this thing, because obviously it cracked here and also on the bottom weld here, so I need to re-weld that. So I'll probably just, like I said, connect these up and then run it down into the corner on both, and should be good after that. With it all bolted down like this and just stitching a little bit at a time, waiting. You can see it's cold now. I'm about to do another tack here. Alright, so now that that's out of the way and the cat's out of the bag, we can continue on this one. So just laid another little bead, and you can see I've got most of that gap filled in, so you can actually see the crack next to that metal and the weld now that I've put some heat into it. I mean, over here it's just like totally, you can see daylight through it. Yeah, I definitely put a hole in there, but come on guys, I feel like this could have used a little more weld. This is like a $750 bell housing, and it's only 2 years old. You know, if all that's holding it together is this little tiny sheet of metal behind it and some bolts that I left out, honestly, that weld should have probably been finished from the factory like that, but hey, it is now, so this is an upgraded one. A couple hours in at this point, and the weld is almost finished. Got it finished on the top, and the bottom I'm still working on there. I decided to kind of fuse it back together all the way where you can see the crack from both sides, so working on that while it's all bolted up as well. And I'm going to sand it down and paint it. Moving right along here, I've got the engine on the stand, so it's hanging out right there, and I've got another hole set. This one's pretty rusted up. It actually doesn't turn. It's kind of dirty in there too. I think the reason it doesn't turn is because, looks like it might have been leaking oil too, but I think it's because this exhaust housing is so rusted out that it's just grabbing this thing or something. So I'm gonna try to get it open real quick. I'll get right back to you on this finished project from yesterday. So things we worked on were this bell housing that came out of my truck. Like I said, I got this thing in March 2018. It's an RM-8031, and there is the repaired area. So yeah, I don't think it'll crack again. I think everything's good now. It was good to catch it when I did, because any longer and it could have spread. Like I said, I don't know if missing these containment bolts really contributed to that, but they do span across this area. I mean, it did crack this way. So I'm not sure if they would have changed anything, but I did leave them off. I'm not doing that anymore just in case. Like I said, that could have been kind of bad, but after only 2 years, it's kind of surprising that that was already happening as bad as it was. So like I said, I just carried this weld all the way across because it cracked in 2 places at the welds on this thing, so I just reattached it better to this bell housing and then tied it into this plate. I didn't end up doing anything on the plate because there's nothing happening along this. I just got it welded pretty much to this flange on both sides. So I did have it fully bolted down when I did that. I only did a little at a time. It's not going to be warped. This was a good bell housing. It had aligned in spec. So the other thing I worked on was these turbos. I ended up getting that rusted one off of there, but this flapper's stuck, so it's not really of any use to me because I need the internal wastegate. And I've showed this before on this channel, removing these snap rings to take off the whole set compressor housing. This is a HY35 and I am using HE341 compressor housing, so I can't use that on my truck, but I can use the rest of the turbo, so it's good to get it split apart.